welcome to AMA with General AMA with me, Sijbrandij, CEO and co-founder of GitLab in the APAC time zone, Asia Pacific. The first question is from Tong, and maybe Dan can verbalize it.
Tong asks, what are some of the things you think we do less well as a company today? What are things we do well?
Something we do less well is taking quick action on things. For example, we want to reduce memory usage. It has to go to many, many steps. Now, the team is doing a great job at that. It used to be that Dimitri would just merge it in, everyone would freak out, and then we'd revert to change. That's not ideal. We cannot afford to take risks like that. So I'm not sure what to do about that. The other thing I'm a bit puzzled by is Elasticsearch on .com. I think great search is a needed feature for any kind of any DevOps tool. And I think there's a normalization of deviation. We've gotten so used to not having great search for our customers that we think it's okay. I think it's not, and I think we should step up our game a bit. I think what we're doing well is keeping velocity up, having clear roles, clear titles, KPIs, and OKRs. Also see my list of the biggest risks for GitLab. Next question is from Julie. Maybe Emily can verbalize that one.
Happy to. So Julie asks, do we have plans to formalize free licensing for nonprofits like GitHub?
Yeah, like GitHub does for not-for-profits. We don't have any plans for that. We're still working on a program for startups, which I expect to be launching soon. Maybe after that launch, that's a good time to look at the next step there. Next question is by Peter. Peter, do you want to verbalize your question?
I see, yes. So is APAC growing as quick as you anticipated to?
Considering the usage of GitLab in APAC, which is high, I thought in 2015 that APAC would be a much bigger percentage of our ARR than it is today. But we're doing a lot better recently, so I expect APAC to grow faster than overall IACV growth in the coming months and years. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Next one's also yours.
Yeah, also mine. So I've heard a lot of reviews and positive feedback around the CEO shadowing program. Just want to get your thoughts and understand what's the most enjoyable part for you on the program.
Yeah, I think for me, the most enjoyable part is reflection. After an interview or a long meeting, I walk back to my living room and have a chat with the shadows, what they thought, what I could do better, things they observed. I think that's just very helpful. The help is appreciated. I think between Dan and Emily, I think they also already put in like 10 merge requests, and we're only on the second day of the week. And it's also kind of nice to see the outside recognition. We say we're a transparent company. We say that we want to develop our people. And this is a very in-your-face way of showing that to people from the outside. So I kind of take some pride in that as well.
Great. And final question for me is, where's your next holiday destination?
Thanks for asking a bit more personal question. It's Burning Man. It's an event in the Nevada desert. It's the most impractical thing I do every year. You can Google Burning Man and find lots of pretty pictures with a lot of sand. It's impractical, but everyone's super happy to be there, and everyone is excited to be there. Yeah, I look forward to it. I always went with friends and other people, and this year I'm going with my wife and nobody else. And it's very easy to make friends there and to hang out with people. So I'm looking forward to that. Marcel.
Yeah, I have a couple questions, but we don't have to go through all of them. Just there wasn't many in the list, so I came up with a bunch. First of all, now that we are almost finished moving to a single code base, which was kind of a big technical debt, I think, what next large fix or technical debt do you think we should work on? And I'm wondering what your realistic answer is, and like what your dream answer would be.
Oh, wow, you added that later. Maybe because my answers were too realistic. So first of all, when is it expected? Because I'm super looking forward to a single code base.
I think within the next month or two. Yeah, 12.3 maybe.
Cool. That's very exciting. We're very excited about that. It will save a lot of duplicate work. And I almost wouldn't classify it as technical debt because I think it's very common for projects to do this. I think it's just awesome for us to be able to split it like this. I think a lot of time and energy went into it, and it will save a lot of time and energy. I'm looking forward to internationalization, maybe catering a bit to the APAC crowd, because I know there's some of you who find that very important as well. I'm looking forward to running Puma in production so that people installing GitLab don't need 4 gigabytes anymore, but can do it too. And looking forward on Elastic on .com. And I wrote a proposal for a way to get there. I'm not sure it's a good idea, but that would be something I would love to see. If I had unlimited resources, I think I'd focus on the monitoring. And I think I hear every single company in the world struggling with logging. Some logs you rarely look at, and it would be enough to just know where to find them and then run a query and kind of grab them when you need to. And some logs you're very likely to need. You should fully index them like Elasticsearch. You kind of need a dial. So I look forward to a technology where you can have that dial that can do true integrated logging. I'm very intrigued with the Loki project that kind of is using Prometheus technology for logging, where you do know where to find them, but you don't index them yet. I think it's interesting that Splunk has kind of schema on read. I think I've read very little about that. So if someone has a good technical article about like open source alternatives for that, I look forward to that.
Just to come back on your internationalization point, did you mean GitLab, the interface, which is already pretty well internationalized? Do you mean documentation or something else?
I meant the interface. I never seen us declare like, yes, GitLab interface, it's now at least as well internationalized as it will be. I always thought we were at like 60% or something like that. Is that not the case?
I think it's better than 60%, probably 70 or 75% now.
Okay.
For UI itself, yeah. Since I turn on Chinese UI for my daily usage to in case there's anything incorrect or anything not very good, I just make change directly on our translation website.
Okay, that's about I think you have internationalization and localization or something, but is it the case that every string in GitLab, the interface is now like translatable if you...
Not yet.
Not yet. So I look forward to that CI rule getting implemented where you cannot add new strings anymore unless you kind of make them available for translation.
I think all new UI elements, they are 100% internationalized, but we have a lot of legacy pages. Those are kind of adapted.
Yep. So looking forward to finishing that, but it's encouraging to hear that it's already pretty practical.
Yep.
Marcel, you also had the next question.
I can take another one here. So what are the biggest issues you see for the APAC region, both for us, like the GitLab team, but also the APAC market?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So, not being in the same time zone is the biggest challenge. And last time, I did an email like this, people in the group asked, hey, can we do the group conversation at another time so it's more convenient for us? And it broke my heart to have to say, no, we cannot. 8 o'clock is the time. So, well, didn't break my heart, but I was very disappointed that I had to give that answer. So I've been looking at a way to kind of combine a lot of the things we do in so-called thing called GitLab Unfiltered, where we are more asynchronous, where we kind of combine the blog with YouTube, with blog reactions, with presentations. And I hope to start giving that a try as soon as we have a chief of staff or an internal strategy consultant joining. Market-wise, China is top of mind. I actually talked about it again today with potential investors. I think we got an amazing amount of GitLab usage in China. We don't have a lot of IACV, and we don't have a lot of, like, everyone forks GitLab and kind of names it their own thing instead of people recognizing it as GitLab. So I think there's a big opportunity there. And this is a public live stream, but I'll go on the record. I think a great option would be if there would be a GitLab China as a company. So this is just an idea. What if there was a GitLab China? The majority of ownership would be with the management team of that. GitLab would have 19.9% of that forever. We would license our technology. We would have an agreement for the licensing and also lending expertise that we have through GitLab.com. But the local team would run kind of a version of GitLab.cn, a Chinese version of GitLab.com. I think that'd be a very interesting thing to pursue. But I think what we need is a great local management team that we have a connection with. And I'm trying to find that through investors at the moment. Marcel, thanks for the questions. Next one's also yours.
You can skip me and go to Guanjun if you want to give some other people a chance, just because of the scheduling.
It's okay, man. I encourage people. It's great that you put so many questions on. The early bird gets the worm.
Will resellers continue to play a role in GitLab's future? And just for the history of this, in Japan, we have an active reseller that we worked with together at the Open Source Summit that I went to, and they're really passionate about GitLab as well. So I'm just worried about resellers who are really helping us a lot. What happens when we create an entity in their country, for example, and things like that.
Yeah, channel conflict is hard. I wish I had a magic solution. As we grow the company, we're likely to have our people in more countries. But I think if you look longer term, although like for individual resellers, it can be a problem. I think longer term, the reseller channel will be more and more important to reach people. So I think resellers will be an increasing part of our business going forward.
Okay, and the last question, sorry everyone for so many questions, but what are the chances of GitLab someday moving away from the Tanuki as being our mascot or logo to something with better recognition? Because the Tanukis are viewed as tricksters in Japan and not to be trusted. And they're also not well known outside of Japan and maybe people who know Japanese culture. We could have a generic animal like a GitLab fox, which is just a fake animal, something like that. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. And by the way, you don't have to apologize for asking many questions. You should be very proud of yourself. And I think many logos already say they're a fox. I think a Tanuki is an interesting story. Modern coverage of the Tanuki is a bit better. Now, we don't want to be tricksters, but we do want to be a bit smarter than average by working together So that's maybe more of an attribute of a fox than a tanuki. But I think I like to see the tanuki as it's displayed in Super Mario, something that gives you superpowers. Gwen-Jen, you have the next question.
Hi, yeah, I think it's you answered a couple of them when you answered the Marcel's questions. So if you have any more comment about overcoming those cultural, language, and time zone challenge, yeah, please let me know.
Yeah, language, very hard. I can see in the company only us speaking English. Culture, again, very hard. I think to a huge extent, as we say in the handbook, we're a San Francisco-based startup. That is a culture. Luckily, that culture is getting a bit more wider known internationally. And I think the culture of GitLab should always be defined by the values we have, not so much any like local culture, but the values. But obviously, have different. There's more cultural differences. Time zone, again, very, very hard. I do want to keep pushing for us to make things asynchronous. And for example, today on the company call, I noticed a few things where there weren't appropriate notes. It was hard to follow what was going on by just the notes. And I do tell the executives, look, you gotta have your people pay attention to that. So it's a constant struggle to make sure we keep things as asynchronous as we can. And the GitLab Unfiltered is another proposal to do that. But there's, if you have any easy fixes, let me know, because we're in need of some. Next ask is also from you.
Yeah, so do you have any plan to visit APAC, any country in this area?
No, I have not. I would like to. I visited Beijing in 2000. It was my first big trip.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I think Beijing is about approximately 10 times larger now. We were, I think, at an airport, and we're like, this airport is way too big. I think by now they're building not the next airport, but the airport after that, B1 or something.
Yeah, there will be a new one later this year.
Yeah. Anyway, I also lived in Thailand for a while, and we thought we were going to live there 3 years making submarines. I'm getting out of focus. Let's see. Making submarines. And so my wife learned the local language, and that was kind of fun for her. I'm proud she did. I had plans to come to Japan for the Olympics. Only I was not so smart, because I requested tickets as a US person and not as a Dutch person, which means instead of getting a 50% allocation, we got a 1% allocation. So we got one ticket, which is not enough to make the trip. So no immediate plans, but certainly I would love to visit again. Arihant, you have the next question.
Yep. But yeah, concluding to Xiao Gang plan, please do visit APAC. We have some awesome countries over here too.
I know, and I haven't even seen 10% of them.
Cool. All right. My question is, what is your take on creating a new feature from scratch, or using an existing open source one and maintaining that? Because there are so many of them in the market already. So what is your take on that?
So in general, we want boring solutions. We want to reuse other people's work. So most of the time, reuse the open source one, maintain that. You'll have maintenance costs anyway, whether you use an open source one or you make it yourself. So let's start out. Now, a reason to build something ourselves can be that we want a single application. But I think in general, you're always a bit apprehensive to use other people's code. it's more fun to build your own code and to figure out how to properly iframe something or divvy it up, or that's dirty work. But I think most of the time you get to a result much, much faster. So yeah, my take is use an existing open source one. You always will have the option to build your own. It's much better when it's informed by using the open source one first.
Cool. Awesome. Next question also mine. So did you receive any new requests related to acquisitions? Like after the update?
We had a blog post about it. Did people respond? I don't know. We have to ask Eliran. I haven't heard of any, although not any related to the blog post. Cool. Any other questions? Someone concluded that our next Contribute event is not in APAC. Oh, either you're smart or I'm smart. So you're smart. Cool. I don't see any other questions. Thanks for doing this AMA. And Marcel, thanks for all the questions. You see, we didn't run out of time. It was all good.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.